Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and today I want to discuss with y'all how much I love musicals. Nope, wait, I want to discuss with y'all about how Thrones of Decay should be a musical. No, I haven't lost my mind, though I did get in a lovely little car accident a couple days ago, but I'm good, Sadie's good, we're all fine. Thank you. Some of y'all may have seen the pictures, but we are healthy and fine. Luckily, no one was hurt. But that being said, as I was saying, I do love musicals very, very much, whether it be Hadestown or Beetlejuice. But instead of those inspiring this conversation, I had a random brain bug pop into my head, a thought from the past that has returned to me. Allow me to explain. Way back, feels like forever ago now, even though it wasn't really that long ago, when Total War Warhammer 3 had either just released or was about to. I forget which exactly. I'll see if I can pull up the clip for this video. But I had a conversation with Andy Hall over on Lorebeards where I asked him if there were any regrets he had about designing the various demons that featured so heavily within the Total War Warhammer 3. His answer ended up being that there had originally been plans to have the Plague Bearers of Nurgle count while they were on the battlefield, which is, of course, an incredibly famous quirk of these diseased tallymen of Nurgle. These counting voice lines would give them their classic droning audio, but unfortunately, due to the restrictions of COVID at the time, recording those types of lines had proved too difficult because it was basically just, wanting to have lots of people in the recording booth at once. Not necessarily like hardcore trained voice actors, but just maybe some people from around the studio. They've done similar type things in the past. So that brings me to Thrones of Decay. The next DLC, Fermenting, on the horizon features a trio of the Empire, Dwarfs, and Nurgle. Two of these factions actually have what could very loosely be described as singing to be a core component of their lore when it comes to taking to battle. So I would like to just make a small little video, being this one, that explains what this could look like, or rather sound like, and why now Thrones of Decay is the time to do this. As I mentioned just a little bit ago, the first faction that could be more accurately described as chanting rather than singing, per se, is of course the Demons of Nurgle. Plague Bearers in particular have the alternate title of Nurgle's Tallymen, as they are responsible for attempting to keep stock of all the diseases and afflictions they witness upon the battlefield. They're said to mutter a constant droning, keeping the tally going for all eternity for the glory of Grandfather Nurgle as they count. I actually decided to go ahead and dig up two specific examples of this counting. The first quote is from a plague bearer who is keeping tally of the plagues that it perceives upon the battlefield, the many gifts being granted by the Grandfather. Now, I am not going to attempt to do a plague bearer type voice or sing it. I'm just going to read it to save everyone's suffering. But you may notice that this kind of has a rhyming scheme to it. It goes,
cholera, typhoid, sursumson, halitosis, black plague, white plague, bloody red and brown plague, canker, waster, foot and marf fester, pneumonia, bubonica, runnin' sores, seepin' sores, rotten sores, weepin' sores, emphysema, diarrhea, nasty caser wax in your ear, lustrian runs, cafe tum, Chilean sick nurse of their thumb, pneumonia, bubonica, smallpox, bigpox, chickenpox, pigpox, diseases of the elementary kind, unease of the alimentary kind, common cold, influenza, nasty rash, distemper, pneumonia, bubonica, said by Wormfingers, the plague bearer.
The second example is more of an actual counting, which I will read now. So the quote goes, 20th of the dozen maladies, 21st of the dozen maladies carrying the one, 22nd of the dozen maladies carrying the one, carrying the two. This quote was heard by being said by plague bearers at the sacking of Sotek, which I want to say is in Kislev or the Northern Empire. In any event, I think it would be absolutely awesome to have this represented in game, with the plague bearers counting and chanting while idle or moving around the battlefield to really bring their creepiness and horror up to a maximum level. This would be even better and more thematic if the legendary lord for Nurgle and Thrones of Decay ends up being Epidemius, who is the chosen tallyman of Nurgle and the absolute big boss when it comes to cataloging all of the Plague Lord's diseases. I mean, it's probably Tarmakon as legendary lord, but, we'll see what happens. So that's Nurgle done and out of the way with. But there's another faction participating in Thrones of Decay that features singing as a core part of their identity. That, of course, being the proud Dawi of the Dwarven Realms. Anyone who has ever read a Black Library book featuring the Karazhamkor has likely witnessed a scene or passage that includes a throng of dwarfs who begin to sing as battle is about to begin. This happens in a pretty staggering number of the novels and stories, whether they be standalone tales or even episodic stories like Gotrek and Felix. It would be so wondrous and pretty kick-ass to have Creative Assembly gather a choir that can sing a number of dirges and laments, as dwarf battle songs are virtually always quite heavy and somber affairs, though with an element of stubborn resolution to them. They wouldn't need to carry on for the entire battle by any means, but maybe just, start when the battle actually begins and simply continue until they end. Maybe just a nice mix of like 5 to 10 songs would be more than plenty. That'd give some nice variety. They wouldn't have to be particularly long, just something that kind of gets you, from like starting the battle into the initial fighting phases. It would just add so much beautiful flavor and help the dwarfs fully match how they approach battle in the lore. I did dig up 2 brief examples from some novels I'll include here. Although these particular examples do not come with lyrics, there are quite a few songs within the lore, particularly in Black Library, that actually do have lyrics to the songs, but I wasn't able to look up any of them in a timely manner, but I was able to find at least these examples. So the first example I'll be giving you is from the Headtaker novel by David Geimer, where the passage says, King Cazador's deep baritone rose steadily above the encroaching slaughter. Astonished, Handrik realized the king was singing. It was a paean to the lost and the dishonored, a tragedy of a dwarf without wealth or kin, with nothing to lose but his ancestors' pride. It had no place on the battlefield, but it felt right, and Loremaster Logan, on Cazador's opposite flank, took up the tune, while the hammerers themselves soon joined in, stamping their feet in time to the dirge. So he's literally singing this sad lament, this somber song, as Queek Headtaker himself, at the head of a massive horde of Skaven, is barreling down on them, which is just, it's so kick-ass. Another example, the second excerpt I'm going to be reading you is from Grudgebearer by Gav Thorpe, who, just as a very fun random fun fact, will be appearing on Lore Beers this upcoming Sunday. Gav Thorpe will be joining me and Andy Law, so if you want to check that out, hopefully we'll see you over on the Lawhammer YouTube or Twitch channel at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time or 4 p.m. British Standard Time on Sunday. Just a heads up. But the excerpt says the following. At the merest hint of the orc smell, a strange mood came over the dwarfs. A race memory of holds being destroyed and ancestors being slain. They began a mournful dirge, which rippled along the line and gathered in strength. As Throndin walked out from his hammerers to stare at the approaching horde, the low blast of war horns accompanied the somber hymn, echoing from the hills around the battlefield. As I said, fairly short video, as that's all I have to really say on the matter. It's certainly not required by any means of the imagination as an aspect to the DLC, but I do think it would be a fantastic addition to the game if there was a developer or an audio engineer working on the DLC who maybe could have the time to try and make that, kind of slip that in there somewhere. I do hope y'all enjoyed this little discussion, and do let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's stupid? Do you think it's ridiculous? Do you think it would be a great idea? Is it something that you would be particularly fond of as being added in? I mean, technically it would be free LC. It would be something kind of added alongside the DLC. I just think Thrones of Decay would be an appropriate time to do it, because the main things that sing are just like the general dwarf army, and then of course the plague bearers, which are all already in the game. But if Creative Assembly wanted to do something really fun and cute, like kind of a neat little thing, it would be pretty awesome if they would consider maybe releasing a public script that just random fans, members of the community, could record of the plague bearers chanting and counting, and like send that back to Creative Assembly through maybe Total War Access or something. That way they could have a whole bunch of audio that they could put into the game, which would allow it to have this really chaotic droning quality. And it would also give a lot of people in the community the chance to kind of like add to the game and be kind of immortalized within Total War Warhammer, which would be really awesome and unique. Probably not going to happen. I could see how some aspects of it would be kind of nightmarish to figure out. Like you would be like, okay, like there needs to be kind of a general, like it might have to come out with some kind of file where they're like, hey, try and like follow along to this particular recording we've already made. So like try and say it in roughly the same time. But like, honestly, the more chaotic it is, I think the better it would be, because it's like the plague bearers aren't known for being like, they're not keeping well in time. They're not like a well-trained regimen when it comes to their counting. It's supposed to be so nebulous and chaotic that it's kind of difficult to make out until you get close enough, because from a distance it just sounds like that endless droning, and it's very unpleasant and like, oh god, to listen to, because there's almost like a magical quality to it that brings despair, because Nurgle. So I don't know, I just think that would be really fun. I'm sure CA would probably look at that and be like, no, but I just think it'd be a cool way to allow the community to get involved. In any event, thank you all so much for watching the video. I do want to take a moment to thank all of my patrons, especially for their continued support to help me keep the lights on over here. And a very big special shout out and thank you to Sign of the Emperor, Eric, Hologam, Ekara Thalium, Mr. Vorn, and Squats for their generous support in particular. I will catch you all for the next video, and take care. Though, before I go, I know it doesn't fit with Thrones of Decay, but it'd be really nice, just kind of on the same theme of like singing or music in the game. It'd be really cool if the Vampire Coast sea shanty could be put in the game. Like if they actually sung it at like the start of battles, or like in certain circumstances, maybe give them like 2 or 3 more sea shanties. Goodness. Like, I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool. They already have whatever groups recorded that the first time. Maybe have them record like 2 or 3 more, and then you could have them play a random one at the start of a battle. That'd be really nice. I don't know. I'd also really like to see the Ogre Kingdom song. Like, it'd be, imagine if when you played Ogre Kingdoms and you made a camp, like your little camps that can go up tier 5. If someone attacked the camp, if you had like a guaranteed chance to hear the ogre singing that song, because they're defending their camp and they're like, people are coming to where we have all our food ready or whatever. I don't know. I need more singing in the game. It'd be cool. All right, I'm done. Thanks for watching. Bye.